Good evening or good morning or good afternoon or good night, learners. So in this video you are going to understand what momentum is. If we begin with its definition, momentum is defined as a product of mass and velocity. That's momentum of a body. Because we assume that if a body is moving at a very high speed, it has a bigger momentum than a body that is moving at a lower speed. Then we shall later see how this momentum is applied to collisions, impact, and so on, or even accidents. We can also determine, we see the momentum if two vehicles hit each other, what is the impact. So we shall also look at that. So momentum is a vector quantity because it moves in the direction of this velocity. It's a vector quantity, and if a particle moves at a higher speed, it moves with a bigger momentum than a particle that moves at a lower speed. So you can imagine, for example, if we are hammering a nail in a table in a wood, you need a bigger momentum. You have to hit it with a bigger force for it to enter than when you use a smaller force. It means you have to hammer it with a hammer with a much higher speed than because if you hit right, most likely the nail will not enter the table. So you can read this example. This is just saying if a particle has a mass of 2 kilograms and a velocity of 5 meters per second, should be 5 meters per second, not kilograms. So what would be the momentum of such a particle? That's what you need to know. So what is the momentum of such a particle? Allow me to first do this work. Something here which needs So in this case our momentum will be 2 times 5 Newton second. The Newton second is the units for momentum. So determine the momentum of a 60 kg half block moving eastward at 9 meters per second. So it means you just simply multiply 60 times this 9. So the product of 6 and 9 is 500. Of 6 and 9 is 540. So our momentum in this case will be 540 Newton second, and also acting eastwards. Similarly here you simply multiply this 1000 times this 20, and the momentum of such a particle will be 20,000 Newton second. You do the same to the other number. So instead of using Newton second, you can also use kilogram meters per second, which is just the product of this kilogram times this meter per second. So here there's this other question. Let us try it. They are saying a car possesses 20 units of momentum. What would be the car's new momentum if its velocity was doubled? Remember, momentum was a product of mass times velocity. So it means for momentum if you increase velocity, the momentum will also increase. So if you double velocity, then it means the momentum will also be doubled. If you triple velocity, it means the momentum will also be tripled, because just one is a scalar multiplication. If you, for example, if you multiply a scalar, that's the velocity, to mass of a particle, you get the momentum. So it means if you double momentum, velocity will be doubled, or otherwise if you double velocity, momentum will be doubled, whichever the case. So here they are saying both its velocity was doubled and its mass was doubled. So if here both of them are double, so a double times a double, it's like a square times a square. So it means here, if you double the mass and you double the velocity, the momentum will have the double of the effect of the velocity, and at the same time it will also develop another double due to the effect of mass, and we shall have a double times a double, which will end up being a quadru, something like times 4. So the momentum will be multiplied by 4 because of the other two doubles, a 2 times a 2, which will end up times a 4. So the next we look at change in momentum. Change in momentum is just simply subtracting the final momentum minus the initial momentum, or the initial momentum minus the final momentum. It's just a change irrespective of the direction. So how do we get it? If a particle has changed its velocity in a given time t, for example from u to v, in a given time from u to v, this is u, in a given time v, our final momentum will be given by mass times final velocity, and initial momentum will be mass times initial velocity, as you can see here. So when you subtract them, what you get will be the change in momentum. Another thing, the definition of change in momentum is the same as impulse. Impulse is the change in momentum. So you can try this example. Here they are saying a particle of mass this changes speed from this to this. So you calculate the final momentum, which is mass times the final velocity, and you also calculate the initial momentum, which is mass times the initial velocity, and subtract the two. What you get will be the change in momentum. In our case here, we got our change in momentum as 8 newtons. So there's here another example, which is saying a body of mass 2 kg changes speed from 5 meters per second to 3 meters per second in the opposite direction. So it means the particle moves and then at a certain point changes the speed, but in the opposite direction. So it means if we, for example, we treat the initial speed to be positive, that means the final one will be negative, to be moving the opposite direction of the other. So initially, if we assume the particle was moving with a positive velocity, which will be given by, and its momentum will be given by 2 times 5, which is 10 newtons second. Then finally, the final momentum will be given by the mass again times the velocity, but here we have to make sure the velocity is the opposite of the first one by using a negative. So we end up getting the negative 6 newtons second. So change in momentum, before we had said is final momentum minus initial momentum. So negative 6 minus 10, it gives us negative 16 newtons second. But we just simply needed the change, so we can just check the magnitude of what we have got. Simply we take the magnitude which will end up being 16 Newton second. Impulse, we have already defined impulse somewhere here as simply the change in momentum. So you can use what we have got here, for example, 16 Newton second is the same as impulse. So impulse simply is equivalent to the change in momentum. However, if you simplify it, if you say impulse change in momentum and you substitute here, you factorize out m, and then factorize out m, and then you substitute for v minus u from Newton's first equation of motion, which we know that v equals to u plus at. That's Newton's first equation of motion. We know it as v equals to u plus at. So when we substitute it there, when we substitute it here, we end up with MAT. Then here we have MA, but MA from again Newton's second law of motion, MA is the same as force. So it means we can define impulse as F times. So the impulse can be defined as force times time, the time which the force acts on the particle. Because you know that if a particle is moving at a speed v and then changes to a speed v, it means there is a force which is trying to change that speed. So that's the force which we are using in this case to get, which we shall maybe call the impulsive force. So here there is an example which is saying a body, a body of mass 2 kilograms is initially at rest on a smooth horizontal surface. A horizontal force of 6 newtons acts on the body for 3 seconds. Just ignore this. So the question is, determine the magnitude of the impulse given to the body. How do we get the impulse given to the body? To get the impulse given to the body, we shall just use this formula, force times time. The force we have 6 newtons and it acts for 3 seconds. So 6. So we have 6 times 6 times, we have 6 times 3, which gives us 6 times 3. I'm sure you have already computed it and you have got the answer, which is not wrong. The Yashima cannot simply fail multiplication. So which is this 18 Newton second. The units are Newton second. I'm sure you had already done it as I was fidgeting around with writing here. Then the other one is saying the magnitude of the final momentum of the body. So we know that, first of all, we know that impulse equals to change in momentum. We know that impulse equals to change in momentum. But now we have got the moment, we have got the impulse as 18. We have got as 18, so we shall first of all say final m minus initial m. But we have got the impulse as 18, and then our final momentum is what we are looking for. Final we are looking for final momentum. Let me just final momentum, and just call it capital M. But do we know the initial momentum? They are saying a body of mass 2 kilograms initial at rest. So initial momentum is what? Saying it is initial at rest. So it is initial at rest. The initial momentum will be 2 times 0, which is 0, because it was resting. So it didn't have any impact. So if you simplify this, we end up getting the final momentum M as 18 Newton second. So our final momentum is 18 Newton second. Yeah, which is similar to this. So they are saying the final speed of the body. Now to determine the final speed of the body, so I'm going to use that same tactic. We have got the final momentum, which is 18, but momentum is the same as speed times mass, which is 2 kilograms. So if you divide here by 2 on both sides, you get our momentum as 9. Yeah. This one, get momentum as 9. Then the other equation, they are asking us to, sorry, not an equation, but it's a different question. They are asking us that a body of mass 10 kilograms is initially a body of mass 10 kilograms is initially moving with constant velocity of 2I minus 7j meters per second. The body experiences a force of this for 4 seconds. Find the final velocity of the body. Sorry, find the final velocity in vector form, and hence its final speed. Selina. So let us do this also. A body of mass, let me reread. A body of mass 10 kilograms initially moving the constant speed of this. The body exerts the force of this for 4 seconds. Find the final velocity of the body in vector form and hence obtain its speed. So how shall we do this one, members? They have given us the force, they have given us the seconds. So let us first of all get the impulse. The impulse will be given by force times, the impulse will be given by force times time. But our force is 5I plus 10j. So we shall multiply this one to time, which is 4 seconds. So we have got our force. Our force will be given by this. We could have simplified that. If you simplify, the force will be, sorry, the impulse will be 20I minus 20, plus 40j. That's our impulse. So now the other part we have to determine. We have to determine the remaining part. So they are saying now we get the final velocity of the body in vector form. So we know that impulse is the same as change in momentum. So it will be final momentum minus initial momentum. So our impulse here, we have it as 20 I plus 40 J equals do we have the initial momentum? The initial momentum will be given by, we are looking for the final momentum. Let me say Fm. Why use capital M? So our initial momentum will be given by mass times initial velocity, which is 2I minus 7J. 2I minus 7J. So I'm going to copy and paste. So this will be 10 times 2. 10 times 2 we get 20. We get 70. So if you make M the subject, M will be given by 20, this 20 minus or plus. It will be 20 plus 20, it will be 40I. Then here we have 40, because now with this sign and this sign, they make it positive 70. So when you take the other side, it will be 40 minus 70. Sorry, yeah, it will be 40 minus 70, which will give us minus 30J. So that's our final momentum. So to get the final velocity, we shall get the final momentum divided by the mass. So it means we shall get this 40I minus 30. Then we divide the whole thing by our mass, which was 2. So it means our final V will be 20I minus 15J. That will be, as we shall do that part. So I think I explained, so you should be able to follow the steps. So lastly, we are required to get the velocity, sorry, the speed. The speed, you get the magnitude of 20 and 15 because of lacking space. Okay, this was the solution. Allow me to delete it because we lack space. But we have got the final velocity as 20I minus 15J as the velocity. The speed will be the magnitude of that one, that expression. So finally we look at impact collisions, and with these collisions we shall take into account the law of conservation of linear momentum, which states that when two or more bodies collide, the total momentum before collision is to the total momentum after collision, provided no external forces act on this. This is with respect with Newton's third law of motion, where we say action and reaction are equal and opposite. So if two bodies collide or impact, each one of them will act on another with the same force but opposite in direction. We summarize it as initial momentum is called final momentum. This is for the case of two particles. They could be more than two. So if if we have two bodies A and B, move of masses MA and MB, moving initially with velocities UA and UB, and then after collision they have velocities VA and VB, then it means from the law of linear momentum we shall say initial momentum is called final momentum. The momentum before collision is MA UA, is the momentum of particle A, and MB UB, this is the momentum of particle B. This is before collision. So after collision, again we expect the total momentum to be the same. So we shall do this when we are dealing with particles which collided. Now during collision, however, sometimes the collision can be elastic, and when it is elastic, it means there is no loss of kinetic energy. Then if it is not elastic, then there will be some loss of kinetic energy, and the loss of kinetic energy now can be calculated by getting the initial kinetic energy minus final kinetic energy. In some cases there is a gain in kinetic energy, so if there is a gain, you now get final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is just energy and is measured in joules. So the formula for kinetic energy, as usual, it is just a half mass times velocity squared. So let us try out an example. They are saying a particle A of mass 300 grams lies at rest on a smooth horizontal surface. A second particle B of mass 200 grams is projected along the surface with 6 meters per second and collides directly with A. If the collision reduces B to rest, find the speed of which A moves with after collision. So here, before we do anything, we expect you first of all sketch like what we already said before. You make a sketch. You can see it's our sketch. Initially they are saying particle A was at rest. Initially particle A is at rest, which is here, and has a mass of 3 grams. So it means you should be able to convert it to kilograms by dividing by 1,000, because you know that one kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. So to convert this to kilograms, you divide by 1,000. Then they are saying it collides by a particle B is projected with the surface of is projected at 6 meters per second, and they have said the surface is smooth. They should have specified it. So it is here. It's a smooth horizontal surface. Fine, it is here. So it means the initial momentum now, if we are required to get, we shall get the speed of B, which is 6 meters per second, times its mass, which is 200 grams. That would be the momentum of B initially. Then the momentum of A initially would be, it has no momentum because its speed is 0. It was at rest initially. So final momentum after collision, A goes at rest, so the B is reduced to rest. So it means B has a speed of 0. It has no momentum. However, this one will develop momentum, which will be given by 300 G. So the 300 grams times the velocity V, which we don't know, which we have to derive for. So if from the law of linear conservation of momentum, we say initial momentum is called final momentum. When we equate, we get our V as 4 meters per second. So to get a kinetic energy, we said kinetic energy is given by a formula which is a half mu squared. So for a particle A, u was 0 because it was at rest. So its momentum, as you can observe here, will reduce to 0. For particle B, which was projected initially, its momentum will be given by this. Which we shall calculate. So when you carry out the computations, because 2 cancels with 2, then we remain the 100 over 1000. 6 square is 36, so 36 over 10, 3.6 joules. So we do the same to the second set of after collision. We do the same, we get our kinetic energy as 2.4 joules. So if you subtract the 2, what you get will be the loss in kinetic energy. So we do the same to this. Do the same. Here they are saying a shell of mass 5 kilograms is fired from a gun of mass 2000 kilograms. The shell moves the gun with a speed of 400 meters per second. Find the initial speed of recoil of the gun and the gain in kinetic energy of the gun. So for this one, initially both of them were at rest. So it means the momentum of recoil of the gun will be equal to the momentum of the bullet. Because initially both of them were at rest, but when the shell or the bullet is shot out, one of them, the momentum of the other will be the opposite of the other. So we don't know the mass of the speed of recoil. So if we let it to be v, so we shall have our v times the mass of the gun, which is 2000, equals to the mass of the bullet, what is the mass of the bullet? 5 times 400. So when you simplify this, we get our v as 1 meters per second. We get that as the mass of as the speed of recoil of the gun. Now to determine the gain in kinetic energy, because initially both of the was stationary, so there is some gain in kinetic energy. To determine the gain in kinetic energy, we use the formulas we have used up. We use these formulas similar to this, which we have used up. That one I'm leaving it to you as an assignment. That would be as simple as using the formula for kinetic energy, which is a half. For example, for the kinetic energy for the gun would be a half times the mass of the gun, which is 5, times the speed of the gun, which is 400. Then we square. Then what we get, we add there the kinetic energy of this was for the bullet shell, add for the gun, which is also a half, times the mass of the gun, then times 1 squared. So this first one we know that I have, yeah, I request I leave it, you will finish it when you have as practice, should be able to determine what these two give us. So finally we have finished. This is the end of our course. You can try out these questions. They are from Understanding Mechanics by Sadler and Thonings. Otherwise, I'm also requesting you to subscribe to this video by clicking subscribe, please. Without subscribing, that's a request.